Hey, my name is Michael. I'm 27. I clean pools for rich people in gated neighborhoods where I'm basically invisible. Then one Wednesday morning, a married woman walked out to her pool, untied her robe, and let it fall to the ground. The smell of chlorine in the morning air, water reflecting the sunlight. She stepped into the pool completely naked, looked straight at me, and whispered, "Come fix this with me." If you're watching this right now, tell me where you're from in the comments because I still don't know if what we did was wrong. I arrived at the Whitmore house at 7 a.m. on a Wednesday. Same routine I'd followed for 6 months. Pull up in my truck, grab my equipment, walk through the side gate to the backyard. The pool was kidney-shaped, saltwater, heated, surrounded by expensive stone pavers, and perfectly maintained landscaping. I cleaned 12 pools a week for Peninsula Pool Service. This was the easiest one. Well-maintained, no kids, no parties, just weekly service to keep everything crystal clear. My name's Michael, 27 years old. Been doing pool maintenance for 4 years. Started as an assistant, got my certifications, went independent last year. The work is simple. Test the water, adjust chemicals, skim debris, check the equipment. Takes about 40 minutes per pool if you know what you're doing. I kept my head down. Did good work. Didn't talk much to clients. Most of them didn't want conversation anyway. They wanted their pool clean and their privacy respected. Clara Whitmore was like that, distant, but polite. I'd see her occasionally through the glass doors. She'd wave. I'd nod. That was it until that Wednesday morning when everything changed. I was finishing up checking the filter pressure one last time when I heard the back door slide open, looked over my shoulder. Clara stood on the patio barefoot, wearing a white robe, hair down, no makeup. She looked different than the few times I'd seen her before. More real, less staged. "Morning," I said. "Morning. Sorry to bother you. I just had a question." "Sure. What's up?" "The water pressure in the upstairs bathroom. Is that connected to the pool system at all?" "No, that's the house plumbing completely separate." "Oh, okay. I wasn't sure." She didn't go back inside. Just stood there, arms folded, watching me pack my equipment. "You come every Wednesday?" she asked. "Yeah, same day. Same time, unless there's a problem." "Do you ever come other days if something goes wrong?" "If a client calls, yeah, emergency service costs extra, though." She nodded slowly. "Good to know." I grabbed my bag. All set for the week. Water's balanced. Equipment's running fine. Thank you. I walked toward the gate. Felt her watching me the whole way. At the fence. I glanced back. She was still standing there looking at the pool, looking at where I'd been standing. Then she went inside. The following Wednesday, same time, same routine. But this time, Clara appeared within 5 minutes of me starting work. She walked out onto the patio. Same white robe, coffee cup in hand. "Morning," she said. "Morning. How's everything looking?" "Good. Chemical levels are perfect. No issues." "That's good." She sat down on one of the lounge chairs, sipped her coffee, stayed. I kept working, tried to ignore the fact that she was watching me, but I felt it. That awareness, that shift in the air when someone's attention is focused on you. After a few minutes, she spoke again. "Do you like this work?" "Pool maintenance. It's fine. Pays the bills." "That's not what I asked." I stopped, looked at her. "Yeah, I like it. It's quiet, predictable. I can see when I've done good work," she smiled slightly. "Those are good reasons." "What do you do?" I asked. "Nothing. My husband works." I manage things. Manage what? The house. The calendar. The appearance of having a life. Something in her voice made me pause. But before I could respond, movement caught my eye. A neighbor, older woman walking a small dog, had stopped on the sidewalk, looking at us through the fence. Clara saw her too. Stood up immediately. I should let you finish, she said. Went back inside without another word. The neighbor kept walking. I finished the pool service, left through the side gate, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Clara had said. The appearance of having a life. The next Wednesday, Clara was already outside when I arrived, sitting by the pool, robe loose, feet dangling in the water. Morning, I said carefully. Morning, I started my routine, testing the water, checking the skimmer. She watched me the whole time, silent, present. After about 10 minutes, she spoke. My husband travels every Wednesday. Did you know that? No, he's in Seattle or San Francisco or New York. It changes, but it's always Wednesday. I didn't respond. Just kept working. So, Wednesdays are mine, she continued. The only day I get to exist without being watched. I'm watching you right now. No, you're not. You're working. There's a difference. I looked at her. She was staring at the water, not at me. What do you want from me, Mrs. Whitmore? Clara, please, Clara, what do you want? She stood up slowly, deliberately, and then she did something I'll never forget. She untied her robe. Let it fall to the ground. She was completely naked underneath, walked to the edge of the pool, looked at me. Come fix this with me, she said quietly. Then she stepped into the water. I froze. Every instinct told me to leave, to grab my equipment and walk out that gate and never come back. But I didn't move. Just stood there, testing kit in hand, watching her float on her back in the pool. I just cleaned. She didn't touch me. Didn't swim toward me. Didn't say anything else. Just existed naked, free, waiting to see what I'd do. And I did nothing. Because touching her would have crossed a line I couldn't uncross. Would have made me someone I wasn't. After maybe 2 minutes, felt like 20. She smiled, not seductive, not embarrassed, just satisfied, like I'd passed some tests I didn't know I was taking. She climbed out of the pool, water running down her skin, picked up her robe, put it on. Thank you, she said. For what? For not moving. Then she went inside. I stood there alone by the pool, hands shaking, heart pounding, trying to understand what had just happened. I packed my equipment in a daze, got in my truck, drove to my next job on autopilot. All day I replayed that moment. Her stepping into the pool, her looking at me, her thanking me for not moving. That night, I almost called my supervisor, almost asked to be reassigned to different properties, but I didn't because part of me needed to know what happened next. The following Wednesday, I almost didn't go. Sat in my truck outside the Whitmore house for 5 minutes, engine running, debating. Finally got out, grabbed my equipment, walked through the gate. Clara was sitting at the patio table, fully clothed, jeans and a sweater, hair pulled back. Morning, she said, voice neutral. Morning. I started my work. She stayed at the table. Didn't move, didn't speak. The silence was heavier than last week's nakedness. After 30 minutes, I was done. Started packing up. Michael, I turned. Same time next week, she asked. I don't know. Please. Why? Because you're the only person in my life who doesn't want something from me. I do want something. I want you to not make this complicated. It's already complicated. I'm just being honest about it. I shouldered my bag. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. I left, but I knew I'd come back. That week, I found out why Clara had done what she did. Not from her. From something she'd said. My husband travels every Wednesday. It wasn't impulse. It wasn't desperation. It was planned, calculated. She'd been timing this for weeks, watching me, learning my routine, waiting for the right Wednesday when she knew we'd be alone. And she tested me, put herself in the most vulnerable position possible to see if I'd take advantage. I hadn't, and that's what she'd wanted, not to seduce me, to see if I'd resist. The next Wednesday, I showed up. Clara was in the same spot, clothed, calm. You came? She said, yeah. Why? Because I want to understand what's happening here. What do you think is happening? I don't know. But it's not about the pool. She smiled sadly. No, it's not about the pool. I set down my equipment. So, what is it about? Loneliness? Recognition? The fact that I've been invisible for so long I forgot what it felt like to be seen. Your husband doesn't see me. He sees Mrs. Whitmore, the woman who looks good at events and doesn't complain. But he doesn't see me. And you think I do? I know you do because you didn't move when I was in the pool. When I was completely exposed, you didn't take advantage. You just stayed where you were. What did you want me to do? Exactly what you did? Nothing. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was beautiful. Not in a magazine way. In a real lived-in way. Tired eyes. Genuine smile. The kind of beauty that comes from surviving something. I'm 27. I said you're 43. You're married. I clean your pool. This doesn't make sense. I know, but it's the most honest thing in my life right now. What do you want from me? I don't know. Maybe just this. You showing up every Wednesday, me existing without having to perform. No expectations, no pressure, just presents. That's all. That's everything. We settled into a new routine after that. Every Wednesday, 7 a.m., I'd show up and clean the pool. Clara would be outside sitting, watching, sometimes talking, sometimes silent. We never touched, never crossed physical lines, but the emotional intimacy was stronger than anything physical could have been. She told me about her marriage, how it had died slowly over 15 years, how her husband traveled to avoid being home, how she'd learned to fill the emptiness with routines and appearances. I told her about my work, my small apartment, my simple life, how I liked the quiet, how I didn't need much to be content. We were opposites in every way. But somehow we understood each other. 3 weeks into our new routine, Clara asked me a question. Do you ever think about it after you leave? Think about what? That morning when I was in the pool, I should have lied. Should have said no. Instead, I said, yeah, I think about it. What do you think? How it would have been easier if you just stayed inside. If we'd kept the distance, would it have been better? I don't know, but it would have been simpler. She nodded. I'm sorry for making things complicated. Don't be. Complicated is more honest than simple sometimes. She looked at me with those tired, honest eyes. I trust you, she said quietly. Because you didn't touch me. Because you stayed exactly where you were. Is that what you wanted? Someone who wouldn't touch you? Yes, because everyone else in my life wants something from me. My body, my status, my time. But you just wanted to finish cleaning the pool. That's not true. What do you want then? I want you to be okay. I want you to not be lonely. I want you to feel seen. Her eyes filled with tears. You're a good person, Michael. I'm just a guy who cleans pools. No, you're not. That afternoon, I got a call from Evan, my supervisor at Peninsula Pool Service. Michael, got a second? Yeah. What's up? Been hearing things about the Whitmore property. My stomach tightened. What kind of things? That you're spending extra time there. That Mrs. Whitmore has been friendly. Who told you that? Doesn't matter. Just be careful, man. Private clients, married women. It's a bad mix. Nothing's happening. I believe you. But perception matters. If the HOA gets complaints, we lose the contract and you lose the job. Understood. Just keep it professional. Clock in, clock out. That's it. He hung up. I sat in my truck staring at my phone, realizing our Wednesday mornings weren't as private as we thought. Someone was watching. Someone was talking. And it was only a matter of time before it became a problem. The next Wednesday, I showed up at 7 a.m. like always, but as I was setting up, the neighbor, the woman with the dog, appeared at the fence. Excuse me. Pool service. I walked over. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? How long do you usually take? About 40 minutes. Why? Just curious. We're thinking of hiring you for our pool. You can call the office. They'll set you up. She smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. I've noticed you're very thorough. Mrs. Whitmore must appreciate that. I do my job. I'm sure you do. She walked away. I turned around. Clara was standing on the patio, face pale. She'd heard every word. After the neighbor left, Clara came to the pool edge. That was Lena, she said quietly. She talks to everyone, including my husband. Nothing's happening. We haven't done anything wrong. It doesn't matter. People see what they want to see. So, what do we do? She looked at the pool at me at the fence where Lena had been standing. I don't know, she said. But I'm not ready to stop. Are you? I should have said yes. Should have walked away right then. Should have protected both of us from whatever was coming. Instead, I said, no, I'm not ready to stop either. 2 days after Lena appeared at the fence, Clara texted me. First time she'd ever contacted me outside of our Wednesday routine. Can't do this week. I'm sorry. No explanation. No follow-up. I stared at the message for a long time. Typed 3 different responses. Deleted them all. Finally sent. Understood. That Wednesday, I drove past the Whitmore house on my way to another job. Slowed down as I passed. Looked at the pool through the fence. The water was still undisturbed. Nobody outside. I kept driving. The following Wednesday, same thing. No text, no cancellation, just silence. I added the Whitmore property back to my route. Pulled up at 7 a.m. The side gate was locked. I stood there for a minute, hand on the latch, debating whether to ring the doorbell, decided against it, got back in my truck, left. That afternoon, Evan called again. Michael, need to talk to you. What's up? Got a call from the Riverside HOA. They're doing a surprise pool inspection next week. All the properties in that neighborhood. Why? Someone filed a complaint. Said one of the pool guys was spending too much time at certain houses. Being inappropriate. My chest tightened. Who filed it? They won't say. But it's pretty clear who they're talking about. Nothing happened, Evan. I swear. I believe you. But it doesn't matter. Perception is reality, and right now the perception is bad. So what do I do? Stay away from the Whitmore property. I'm reassigning it to Jake. For how long? Indefinitely. I'm sorry, man. But we can't afford to lose the HOA contract. He hung up. I sat in my truck staring at nothing, realizing Clara had known this was coming. That's why she'd canned lead. That's why she'd gone silent. She'd chosen safety over whatever this was, and I couldn't blame her. Days passed, then a week, then two. I worked my other properties, kept my head down, tried not to think about Wednesday mornings by Clara's pool, failed. Every Wednesday at 7 a.m. I'd catch myself thinking about her, about our conversations, about the way she'd looked at me when she said I was the only person who saw her. I wondered if she thought about me, too, or if she'd already moved on. Filled those Wednesday mornings with something else, someone else. 3 weeks after I'd last seen Clara, I was at home one night when my phone buzzed. 11 p.m. unknown number. There's a leak in the pool equipment. I don't trust anyone else. Can you come? I knew it was her. Knew the number wasn't in my contacts because she'd texted from a different phone. Knew this wasn't really about a leak. I sat there on my couch, phone in hand, knowing exactly what I should do. Delete the message. Block the number. Move on. Instead, I typed when now if you can. The porch light will be on. I looked at the clock. 11:07 p.m. Her husband was probably home. Probably asleep upstairs. Probably had no idea his wife was texting the pool guy. Me. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I pulled up to the Whitmore house at 11:32 p.m. The porch light was on just like she'd said. Everything else dark. I walked through the side gate. It was unlocked now. Clara was sitting by the pool. Jeans and a hoodie, feet in the water. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi, thank you for coming. Is there really a leak?" "No," I figured. I sat down on the pool deck. Not too close, but close enough. We stayed there in silence. The pool filter humming. The night cool around us. "I'm sorry I disappeared," she said. Finally. Lena filed a complaint with the HOA, said she saw inappropriate behavior. My husband got a call from the management company. "What did you tell him?" "That you were professional, that Lena was bored and making things up, that there was nothing to worry about." "Did he believe you?" "I don't know. I don't think he cared enough to investigate." "But you had to stop the Wednesday sessions." "Yes, for both of us. If they'd found anything, you would have lost your job." "I would have lost I don't know what, but something." I nodded. Stared at the water. "Why did you text me tonight?" I asked. "Because I couldn't stop thinking about you, about those mornings, about the way you saw me." "Clara, I'm not asking for anything. I promise I just needed to see you one more time to say goodbye properly." "Is that what this is? Goodbye?" "It has to be. We both know that, do we?" She looked at me. "You're 27. I'm 43 and married. You clean pools. I live in a house with a gate. We don't exist in the same world. We existed together every Wednesday for 2 months. I know, but that was borrowed time. This is real life. What if real life is the borrowed time? And Wednesday mornings were what was actually real." Her eyes filled with tears. "Don't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because it makes this harder." "Good. It should be hard." We sat in silence. The pool filter clicking on, off, on again. "I needed to know," Clara said quietly, "that someone would choose restraint. That someone would see me at my most vulnerable and not take advantage." "Is that what that morning was about when you got in the pool naked?" "Yes. I needed to test you to see if you were safe." "And was I?" "More than safe. You were kind. You stayed exactly where you were. You didn't move toward me. Didn't move away. Just stayed. And that told me everything I needed to know, which was that you saw me as a person, not an opportunity, not a fantasy, just me. I reached over slowly, placed my hand on the pool deck next to hers, not touching, but close. She looked down at our hands, the inch of space between them. Then she put her hand over mine. Just for a second, just long enough to feel real. Then pulled away. You should go, she said, before Mark wakes up. Before this becomes something we can't take back. What if I don't want to take it back? Then you're braver than I am. I stood up. I'm not brave. I'm just honest. Then be honest now. Do you think about me every Wednesday at 7 a.m.? What do you think about how you looked sitting by the pool? How your voice sounded when you talked about being invisible? How it felt to be the only person who saw you? She closed her eyes. You have to stop. Why? Because I can't leave him. I can't walk away from 15 years of marriage and this house and this life. Even if it's empty, I'm not asking you to leave. Then what are you asking? I don't know. Maybe just this sitting by your pool at midnight, talking honestly, existing together without pretending. For how long? However long we have. She stood up, faced me close enough that I could see her breath in the cool air. If we do this, she said quietly. We have to be careful. Smarter. No more Wednesday mornings. No more regular schedule. Just occasional when it's safe. Okay. And no touching. No crossing lines. Just conversation. Just presence. I can do that. Can you? Because I'm not sure I can. Being this close to you and not she didn't finish the sentence, but I understood. Then we'll figure it out, I said. Together, she nodded. Okay, but you need to go now before I do something we'll both regret. I walked toward the gate, stopped, looked back. She was standing by the pool, arms wrapped around herself, watching me. Same time next week? I asked. She smiled sadly. No, too predictable. I'll text you when it's safe. Okay, Michael. Yeah, thank you for coming, for staying, for not making this into something ugly. It could never be ugly. Not with you. I left through the gate, heard it click shut behind me, got in my truck, drove home, and absolutely knew that this wasn't over. 2 weeks passed before she texted again. Thursday night, 10 p.m. just to talk. I was there at 9:58. We sat by the pool, talked about nothing important, about my other jobs, about a book she was reading, about the weather turning colder. But underneath every word was the thing we weren't saying, that we'd found something neither of us expected, something that didn't fit into either of our lives, but existed anyway. After an hour, she said I should go. I did, but I came back 3 days later when she texted again. And again a week after that, always late at night. Always when her husband was asleep or traveling, always careful. We never touched beyond that one moment when her hand covered mine. Never kissed, never crossed the physical line we'd drawn, but the emotional intimacy deepened every time. 3 months after that first late-night visit, I arrived at the Whitmore house on a Tuesday evening. The porch light was on, but something felt different. I walked through the gate. Clara was sitting by the pool like always, but she wasn't alone. A man stood on the patio. 50-some expensive clothes looking at his phone. Mark, her husband. I froze. Clara saw me. Her face went pale. Mark looked up. Can I help you? Pool service? I said, voice steady. Got a call about a leak at 10 p.m. emergency service. Water was backing up into the equipment room. He looked at Clara. You called pool service this afternoon. I told you about it. No, you didn't. I did. You were on your call with Tokyo. You weren't listening. Mark studied me, then looked at his phone again. Fine, whatever. Fix it and send the bill. He went back inside. Clara and I stood in silence, waiting. After 2 minutes, she whispered, "You should check the equipment." Actually, check it. In case he comes back out, I walked to the equipment room, opened the panel, pretended to inspect connections. Clara followed, stood in the doorway. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know he'd be home. His flight was supposed to land at midnight." "It's okay." "No, it's not. He saw you. He'll remember your face. Then we stop right now before this gets worse." "I don't want to stop." "Neither do I. But we don't have a choice." She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I can't go back to being invisible." "You're not invisible. Not to me. But we can't keep doing this. The risk is too high. So that's it. We just end. We don't end. We just pause until it's safer." "When will it be safer?" "I don't know." She nodded, wiped her eyes. "Okay, you're right. We should pause." I closed the equipment panel. "The leak's fixed. Thank you." I walked past her through the gate, got in my truck, drove away without looking back. That was 8 weeks ago. She hasn't texted since. I haven't driven by her house. We've stayed apart, stayed safe. But some nights I think about those Wednesday mornings, about sitting by her pool, about the way she looked when she finally felt seen. And I wonder if she thinks about them, too. Last week I got a new client, older couple, nice house, pool that needed work. As I was finishing up, the wife asked, "Do you ever do Wednesday mornings?" "That's my husband's golf day. House is quiet." I looked at her, saw the loneliness in her eyes, the carefully constructed life, the need to be seen. "No," I said, "I keep Wednesdays open. Personal policy." "Oh, that's too bad." "Yeah, it is." I finished the job, got paid, left. Because I learned something from Clara that I'll carry forever. Some connections aren't meant to last. They're meant to teach you something about restraint, about respect, about choosing someone's dignity over your own desire. But here's the thing. Every Wednesday at 7 a.m. I still wake up and think about her, about the pool I'm not cleaning, about the woman I'm not seeing, about the choice we made to walk away instead of crossing the line. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes my phone buzzes. No name, no message, just a picture. The pool clean, undisturbed. Her way of saying she remembers, too. I don't reply to the pictures. Don't text back. Don't try to restart anything because what we had was perfect. Precisely because it stayed in that liminal space between desire and restraint, between connection and distance, between what we wanted and what we allowed ourselves to have. Some nights I drive past her neighborhood, never turn down her street, never slow down, just drive past the entrance knowing she's there, knowing she's thinking about me the way I'm thinking about her, knowing that some doors stay closed for a reason. But here's what I've learned. Clara didn't need me to fix her life. She needed me to witness it, to see her in that pool, to sit beside her at midnight, to choose restraint when crossing the line would have been easier. And in return, she showed me what real connection looks like. Not touching, not possessing, just seeing, really seeing someone and letting them see you back without expectations, without demands, without turning it into something it was never meant to be. Last night, my phone buzzed at 11 p.m. unknown number. The pool needs winterizing. I trust you. I stared at the message for a long time. Knew what it meant. Knew what she was really asking. One more time. One more conversation. One more chance to exist together before winter closes everything down. I typed when? Thursday. Late. When the neighborhood's asleep, I'll be there tomorrow night. I'll pull up to the Whitmore house one more time. The porch light will be on. The gate unlocked. Clara waiting by the pool. We'll talk. We'll sit in silence. We'll exist together without crossing the line we've protected all this time. And then I'll leave. And winter will come and the pool will close. And we'll go back to being strangers who once knew each other in ways no one else ever could. Because that's what this is. Not a relationship, not an affair, not a mistake. Just two people who found each other in the space between what's allowed and what's real and chose restraint every single time. Some things aren't meant to be fixed, only held. That Wednesday morning when Clara stepped into the pool naked and said, "Come fix this with me." She wasn't asking me to touch her. She was asking me to stay exactly where I was to prove that someone could see her at her most vulnerable and choose respect over desire. And I did. I stayed. I watched. I witnessed. And for 2 months, we built something that existed entirely in restraint. In midnight conversations by her pool. In the space between wanting and having, in the choice we made every single time not to cross the line. The pool's closing for winter now. And maybe this is closing, too. But some Wednesday mornings, I still wake up at 7 a.m. and think about her. About the woman I saw, about the connection we protected, about the line we never crossed. And I understand now that some people aren't meant to be yours. They're meant to remind you what real connection looks like. When you strip away all the touching and taking and possessing. When you just see someone and let them see you back. The porch light's still on some nights. And some nights I drive past, but I don't turn in because what we had was perfect in its restraint. And opening that door again would only ruin. Thanks for watching and subscribe for next videos.